Now,
we're moving. We're getting ready to move. I'm concerned about my mom and sister.
John Sandy has spent his entire life on this quiet Nitro street. He's moving because meth has invaded his way of life.
My mom lives here. I have 2 small children. I have a retarded sister that lives here. And all of a sudden, we got a problem.
This house is a perfect example of the problems meth poses for police and society as a whole. The woman who lives here was arrested on meth-related charges and let out of jail. Just a few months later, a fire at this house, and yes, police say it was a meth lab. The woman was arrested again. This house burned. The teenager inside escaped without being hurt. His mother's in jail for now. She's been there before and still hasn't been prosecuted on the first meth charge. Police know the people who make and distribute meth are among the most dangerous criminals on the street.
The threat to neighbors and law enforcement or whatever in dealing with this problem is these people are extremely violent, they're paranoid, they're afraid of everything, all their surroundings, that somebody's coming to get them.
The Metro Drug Unit runs across these meth cookers all the time.
They're scary people. They're the level of paranoia, their willingness to fight.
Detective Steve Netto says cookers will do anything to make their drugs and will do anything to keep from going to jail if police catch them cooking. And that's why people like John Sandy are giving up their homes to get away from the meth problem. The problem is, meth has invaded the quiet neighborhoods too.
Scares me. Every night when I go to bed, I think about, I hope nothing happens around here tonight.
Folks are soon running out of places to hide from what police call the meth epidemic.
So who's going to protect us?
That's exactly the question being asked by more and more folks staring a deadly problem head on. Almost every day you hear about another meth lab bust, but you almost never hear about a meth lab conviction here in Kanawha County.
What are you focusing on that's more important? If this is not it, and we got kids running around drugs, then if that's not the most important thing for a neighborhood, then tell me what it is so I'll better understand it.
John Sandy is fed up with the way the courts are handling meth cookers caught in his neighborhood or not handling them. His neighbor's been busted twice on meth charges, including a meth cooking operation, and still hasn't been prosecuted. Senator Vic Sproul sponsored the clandestine meth lab legislation, giving police the law they need to get the cookers off the street.
In some counties, in this county in particular, the prosecutors are not prosecuting these crimes.
So whether it gets dropped or not is a decision of the prosecutor's office. Do cases get dropped? Sure they do.
Netto says more people cooking meth means more people using the highly addictive drug. The Metro Drug Unit's busted 60 or so people under the clandestine meth lab law that went into effect nearly a year ago. Out of the 60 meth lab arrests, there has been 1 indictment, 1 guilty plea. That means 97% of all these meth lab arrest cases have yet to be prosecuted.
Prosecution is going to be the answer. I mean, we can't keep arresting people. We need prosecution.
Kanawha County Prosecutor Mike Clifford says he understands why people get angry about the extremely low meth lab prosecution rate.
But the amount of violent crime that we have, and that's our priority right now, and it'll continue to be the priority.
Clifford, though, does agree that meth and meth cookers are real dangers to everyone here in the Kanawha Valley. And after meeting with us for nearly an hour, Clifford promised folks looking to him for protection that they'll start seeing more cookers in court and hopefully in prison.
We're going to start seeing a lot more meth cases come out of here.
But after the meth lab explosions forced him to move from his lifelong home, John Sandy's not convinced.
They don't care what happens because they've got their jobs, they've got their paychecks, and why would it matter to them?
Like carburetor, choke cleaner, gas line antifreeze, which is called heat. That's the most secret ingredient in it, and that stuff sells like cigarettes.
John Schaefer sees dozens of people coming into his convenience store every week looking to buy this stuff, heat.
And I'm talking, we sell 4 to 6. At most I sold at one time, it's been 10 bottles.
And so you know what that's being used for.
I know what it's used for.
He knows most are using it to make meth. Cookers use all kinds of things to make their drugs in all kinds of recipes. There is only one thing they have to have.
The number one ingredient you have to have is ephedrine or pseudoephedrine. You have to have that.
Cookers can get the Sudafed or other similar products by the case almost anywhere. But you won't be able to walk into some pharmacies like this Rite Aid and buy Sudafed products. They've taken them completely off the shelf. If you want to buy Sudafed at Rite Aid, you've got to get it from a pharmacist. Another hoop to go through, another hurdle, and some lawmakers say that's the way to get a grip on the meth-making problem. And that's what we suggested to Senator Vic Sprouse. Regulate the sale of ephedrine and pseudoephedrine-based drugs.
Pharmacists should be the ones who are dispensing it. We should make them jump through all the hoops that they have to get this product.
Sprouse was a main sponsor of the clandestine meth lab legislation that makes it easier for police to arrest people making meth. Now he agrees more legislation is needed.
There's really very little reason for an ordinary person to be out there buying cartons of Sudafed. That's the type of person we need to crack down on.
Sprouse likes our other idea, to make the cookers sign their name and show ID before they can get the main ingredient in meth. He says we can expect legislation with those regulations in just a matter of months. Drug officers say that would really help them fight meth cookers.
Right now, none of these ingredients are controlled. There's any one of these ingredients can be owned. All of them together can be owned or possessed, and there's nothing we can do.
And John wouldn't mind some regulations on the brake fluid and the carburetor cleaner meth junkies buy from his store every night.
There's no law on the limit of how many they can buy.
But without the Sudafed available here, cookers would have to find another source for their key ingredient. Or, as the cops hope, they just pick up and move their operation somewhere else entirely.